Hey folks, it's Tom, your frugal prepper. So I just kind of want to show you where I'm at with my reloading stuff. You know, I've been collecting a lot of this stuff over the years, and some of it I have recently acquired. But just over the last 10 years, I've tried to buy a few things. The main thing I didn't have enough of was primers, and I've just paid the price for them. Paying about $220 to $240 for 1,000 primers. But that's still... I did get a set a while back for $125, but I haven't seen any more of those deals. But that's still a price that I'm willing to pay right now just to have ammunition to shoot, because ammunition is really hard to come by for 380 manufactured new. And that still puts it in a price range that I can afford to go out and shoot. So I'm willing to pay that and invest the time in reloading it. But hopefully those prices will come down eventually. But I just have bags of brass I've collected at the range. This is actually 9mm Luger. That's a 223, some 38 Special, some 357 Magnum. Then down here I have brass in different states, like deprimed or cleaned and deprimed. And I just keep them in these little plastic jugs that I got at the Dollar Tree. Some of them I've started to label, as you can see here. But some of them aren't labeled. I just have to kind of open them up and figure out what they are. I got a couple bags of bullets. So this Everglades ammo place seems to have stuff in stock. And not pre-COVID prices, but not ripping you off gun broker prices. So, and I got this brass from them. This is 380 Auto fired brass. It's not deprimed, it's not cleaned, but price was right. Well, it wasn't right, but it was it's acceptable. I got some more bullets here. Right now, the only thing I'm reloading is 38 Special, 357 Magnum, and 380. But I got some... Oh, this is shot shell primers in here. Let me get a light. Let me get a light so you guys can see. Ignore the dirty laundry mess over there. But yeah, this is shot shell primers, 3,600 of them. Those are up for sale on Gunbroker right now. I just did a penny auction and listed them, and we'll see what they go for. Now here is all my other primers. I have some shot shell primers in here too, but I also have quite a few small pistol primers in here. I've just decided that I'm willing to pay the price for them on Gunbroker for now, just to get them. And oh, that's my shotgun powder there. Got more. I got the new finished car polish and a reloading book and some lizard bedding, which I could use for tumbler media. But that's kind of my reloading supplies. And then over here's the reloading bench. I keep all my pistol primers back in here. And then I have all of my bullets. This is where I left them at last night. I've got one reloading press over here. This can be handy because I can have one here to if I tumble the brass first, I find that I can deprime it and prime it over here. Then I can run this side with the case expander die in it, and then I'm just that much faster, you know, not having to switch out. But yeah, this is kind of my father-in-law's old reloading bench. I think it's some kind of an old drawing table or something. I don't know. Or an old carpenter's table or something. But yeah, I got all my reloading stuff in here. You know, just gotta keep that stuff in there. Some more dies. This is an extra set of 380 dies I had that I'm actually selling. This is 38 Smith & Wesson. This is 38 Special / 357. and then I actually have the factory sizing die in there too. And I got my tumbler. This is some 38 special rounds I made up to try out with different amounts of powder in them, just to try them and see which loads I like the best. And yeah, so this is the basement. This is the canned goods and stuff. A lot of the stuff I can't really eat. I can eat the beans, the pickles, the potatoes I have to stay away from, but these are great for making tater salad. I got lots of canned meats, canned hamburger, canned pork, canned chicken, canned beef, and canned pork, canned chicken, and I have lots of canned celery and lots of broths, more canned hamburger stuff. And then over here is some of my emergency water storage. It's not all of it, but and just food, you know. Silk, my wife likes that almond silk milk for her coffee. And then I just keep a couple things of milk. I don't drink much milk anymore, but it's handy if the family wants some cereal or something and there's a snowstorm and you don't want to go to the store and buy a gallon of milk. That's shelf-stable milk. And green beans, chicken broth, lots of rubbing alcohol, all kinds of other cleaners, Lysol, bleach, and stuff like that, and vinegar down there for canning. We buy our soap in these big, our laundry soap in this big thing on Amazon. And we just opened up one of them. There's normally 2 of them here in reserve, but another one's coming. They're on auto delivery with Amazon. And got coffee, Splenda, lard, peanut butter, ketchup I don't eat. Peanut butter I'll have occasionally. Coffee and Splenda I have. Yeah, mustard I have. The pasta I don't have, but you know my family's not overweight or diabetic, so they eat pasta. Jalapeno cheddar dip. Do you think that would be okay? It's not. It's got way too many carbs. Lots of green beans. There's more green beans down here. Chicken broth. I have this when I decide to fast for a meal. Just have a can of chicken broth. Mushrooms, olives, chocolate chips. I can't have those. Tomato paste. Tomato stuff I can have a little bit of now and then. Some chicken and some tuna. Need more tuna. We're running a little low on tuna. I know there's a bunch upstairs there. Cheese sauce mix. Again, that's too many carbs for me. Got my extra lamp oil back here for my oil lamps. Got some emergency candles. Plenty of hand sanitizer. Plenty of paper towels. Plenty of toilet paper. Just all the normal stuff. So, yeah. This is just, I got more stuff, more food and stuff in these bins and stuff down here. And most of these tubs here are just stuff we need to clean out from when we moved in, or it's stuff from my in-laws who lived here before, and we just have to go through it. But that's I'm a big 5-gallon flour bucket. I don't eat flour, but my wife uses it to make cookies and stuff. And then we have more flour, 25-pound bags of flour in that bin. So, yeah. And I found out today that we're actually running out of sugar. So I haven't been keeping up with the sugar because I don't care about sugar. So that's a little tour around my basement and how I'm prepared. And like I said, I've had a lot of this reloading equipment for a long time, and I've just added some of it recently, and I was short on primers, but I'm paying for them, you know. And so, but I'm glad I'm reloading. I'm glad this ammo shortage happened, and it finally forced me to learn how to reload. I have about $17.50 to $18 in a box of 50 rounds of 380 ammo at today's prices for the reloading supplies. Which is a pretty good deal. I can go to the range and shoot. I'm really happy to be able to do that. And I think a lot of other people probably should learn how to do that. And it's not that hard. It's a recipe. You follow the recipe, you're good to go. And as supplies come back in stock this next time, I'm really planning on stocking up on things like primers, so that I can make it through the next shortage. Because the next shortage might be the final shortage. The next shortage might be where they finally make ammunition illegal or really hard to obtain, or they make it so that you can't readily buy it, or they limit the amount you can buy every month, that kind of thing. So we have to consider that. I mean, if they can't regulate guns, they're going to try to regulate the ammunition eventually. But I had someone stop on my channel and leave a comment. You know, sometimes people like to stop by and poop on the wall and then leave it for someone else to see and clean up. But it was basically a comment like, "Oh, you're stupid for doing all this prepping and all this stuff. You need to just go get a Bible and read it." Well, I do have a Bible, and I do read my Bible, and my Bible has a lot to say about being prepared. And I put a post up this morning with one of those verses. But 1 Timothy 5:8 says, "But if any provide not for his own, and specifically for those of his own house, he hath denied the faith, and is worse than an infidel." Thessalonians 3-9, or 3:9-11. "Not because we have not power, but to make ourselves an example unto you, follow us. Even when we were with you, this we commanded you, that if any of you would not work, then neither should he eat. For we hear there are some which walk among us, which walk among you disorderly, working not at all, but are busybodies." See, it goes on, or Ecclesiastes 11:2 says, "Divide your own portion to 7 or even 8, for you do not know what misfortune may occur on the earth." And I think this is something that's important to realize, that as you're prepping, as you're buying food and supplies, sometimes you have to do without on other things. So maybe you don't have a new car with a new car payment, right? Maybe you get lucky and find a $400 Buick like I did that you can fix, or a $200 Buick like I did that you can fix. And you drive that car for a while. You drive it for a long time, and you don't have a big car payment. You don't have a big fancy house with a big fancy house payment filling it up with big fancy stuff. You might have to do without on some things so that you can afford to be prepared for things that might happen in the future. And this is a simple example, like divide your portions into 7 or 8. But it's basically saying sometimes you have to do with less today so that you can survive what comes tomorrow. Proverbs 6:6-9 says, "Go to the ant, thou sluggard." This is one of my favorites. "Go to the ant, thou sluggard, consider her ways, and be wise. With having no guide, overseer, or ruler, provideth her meat in the summer, and gathereth her food in the harvest." So even the ant knows that you put things back and prepare. Genesis 6:21 says, "And take thou unto thee all of the food that is eaten, and thou shalt gather it to thee, and it shall be food for thee and for them." So we're supposed to go out and gather food to be eaten, right? It's normal to go out and buy extra food and store it so that you can eat it, right? And we see Genesis 41:34-36. I'm sorry about the furnace, man. It just goes crazy like this sometimes. "Let Pharaoh take action to appoint the overseers in charge of the land, and let him exact 1/5 of the produce of the land, Egypt in the 7 years of abundance. Then let them gather all the food of the good years that are coming, and store up grain for food in the cities under Pharaoh's authority, and let them guard it. let them become a reserve for the land, and for 7 years of famine, which will occur in the land of Egypt, so that the land will not perish during the famine. Basically, we're supposed to go out and gather and collect. And then we are supposed to share with those who didn't gather and collect, right? So that they will not perish, so that we all don't perish during the famine. This is an important thing as a Christian. This is why I don't hide the fact that I'm a prepper. I plan on sharing with people. I do. If the chips are down, my goal is to show people what I do so that they will do it and they won't need to rely on someone like me as much. But that's the point, is to try to get as many people through whatever situation alive as possible. And Proverbs 22:3 says, "A wise man thinks ahead, a fool doesn't, and even brags about it." Oh, that's Proverbs 13:16. That's the one I posted this morning. A wise man thinks ahead, a fool doesn't, and he even brags about it. And I see that so often, right? You see people are like, well, I don't prepare for anything at all. I think you're stupid for thinking the end of the world's going to happen. I just go out and party and have fun, buy a new car with my money. Like, they brag about it. They brag about the fact that they're going to die if something bad happens. Right? It's just crazy. And then Genesis 41:34-36. Let Pharaoh take action to appoint overseers in charge of the land, and let him exact a fifth of the that one I already read. Never mind. Okay. Proverbs 22:3. The prudent sees the evil and hides themselves, but the naive go on and are punished for it. So, that comes in many ways, right? That verse has many meanings to me. Not only am I prudent in preparing so that I won't perish for it, or punished for it later, but that has to do with sin for me too, right? The prudent sees evil and hides himself. When I see evil, I hide myself. This happens. This is a way that you protect your marriage, right? If you have someone who is loose, who's acting like they're interested in you, you go hide yourself at that party. You don't talk to them. You don't interact with them. You don't even hint. You just don't do anything, because you would never want to even hint at doing anything that would jeopardize your marriage, right? That's the thing. You have to constantly be on guard for sin, because we are sinful creatures. We have a sinful nature, and we tend to think that sin's a good idea at the time sometimes, right? And you have to stop yourself. But that's just a few verses that talk about being prepared in the Bible. And God does tell us to be prepared. And Jesus did tell the disciples to sell their cloak and buy a sword, right? And it's okay to defend yourself. It's okay to defend your life from an evil person. And God gave you the ability to defend yourself. He gave us the ability to create and use tools to be able to defend ourselves. And we've been creating and using tools to defend ourselves from evil people who a lot of times get those same tools and use them to attack us since the beginning of time, but it's okay. Nobody gets mad at the caribou if he lands a lucky shot and kicks that lion in the head, right, and gets away. And that's how it is with us too. We have a duty to defend ourselves. My life is a precious gift from God. My life on this earth. My everlasting life is a precious gift from God too. But God didn't just save me from burning in hell. God saved me right where I am right now in my life, right? I was of sin. I was doing sinful things. And I was in the pilot seat trying to take control of my life rather than letting Jesus be my pilot. Not my co-pilot, my pilot. I should be in the back of the plane, not worrying too much about where it's going or what's going on, right? And it took a long time to realize that I had to have faith in God and let Him guide me. And then He saved me from myself. And so that's an important thing to realize, that my life is precious. And I've been given certain tools to do certain things. I've been given certain abilities, and I've been given certain instincts. These are for my survival, so that I can experience as much of the life here as I can, because it's a precious gift from God. And although I'm sure that eternity will be better, I know that this is precious, and this only comes once. I only get to live on the earth once. I get to live in heaven forever. So for now, I want to go out and I want to enjoy all the sunny days that I can. I want to have fun fixing stuff. I want to ride coasters, and I want to do things with my family. And I want to have as much fun with life as I can. And that means that I have to be prepared for bad times. You know what being prepared for this means? What all this means, and having a little bit of savings and having a home and cars that are paid for. If I walked into work tomorrow and they said you're fired, I could go a year and be okay. And I could pretty much continue living as I do right now. I could still go ride coasters. I could still spend time with my family. And I could still continue to do the Lord's work, what He put me here on this planet to do, without having to worry about it. And that's a big part of being prepared, is it allows you to continue doing the Lord's will for your life and not having to worry about how you're going to eat your next meal. You see, when you're broke, when you don't have anything put back, then you're in an emergency mode, and you move from one crisis to another in the rest of your life. I recently had this whole thing with my heart, right? And I had to go to the doctor, I had to go to the hospital, I had to go to a cardiologist, I had all these expensive tests done. I have a $4,000 copay or $4,000 deductible on my insurance. And it's kind of like an HSA in that the deductible gets you a discount, but you still pay for it. For the first $4,000, you pay 100%. Then you pay 20% after you meet it. And you still have a copay, that doesn't count towards your deductible. So yeah, it's going to cost me about $4,500 probably by the time this is all said and done. And I'm like, crap, where am I going to get $4,500? Because I kind of spent my stimulus money paying for some other stuff. So, I just went ahead and cashed out some stock today. I just went ahead and lowered my position in U.S. Steel, and Timken Steel, and in Kings Island at Cedar Fair. And I sold some stock, and I have the money to pay for it. And then I can build that stock back up over time. Every payday, I put $100 over to my Charles Schwab account, and I buy some stock. When I fix a car and I have a little extra, I put a little extra over there. And then I can go dip into it if I need to. And yes, I'll have to pay some capital gains on it next year at tax time. No big deal. So it took what would have been a complete financial crisis and an emergency and turned it into not a big deal. It sucks. It sucks to have to spend that money, but it's not, not going to change my life, right? So that's why it's important to be prepared, and that comes financially. And so when you're doing this, when you're getting all your canning equipment and getting your canner and getting your jars and learning to can and learning to reload ammunition and buying everything for that and buying all the food that you're just going to stockpile, the shelf-stable food, and figuring out your water filtration system and all that, you might have to do without driving a new truck, and without buying a bigger house, and without filling that bigger house up with stuff that you can't afford, right? You're going to have to avoid debt like the plague. You're going to have to work extra hard. You're going to have to take on side jobs and side work. But it pays for itself when an emergency happens in life, right? It pays for itself later. So most of the emergencies you're going to have in life are just going to be your own personal emergencies. They're not going to be the zombie apocalypse, right? So, although those things, not the zombie apocalypse, but like real life-changing events on a mass scale can happen. If you just prepare for everyday life, you are leaps and bounds ahead of everyone else out there if something really bad happens, if war happens, if famine happens. And these are things that have happened in the United States before. We have had a famine. It was called the Great Dust Bowl, right? We have had an economic collapse. It was called the Great Depression. We've had war, right? And so those are the things that are likely to happen again at some point in the future. But the most likely thing that's going to happen tomorrow is what happened today. And most things that happen to you are going to be like, I just got fired from my job. Things like that. I had a medical emergency. Those are the things that are most likely going to happen. And you just have to be prepared in every way that you can be, so that it takes all that pressure off of you. All that, like, this is an emergency. I'm in, like, emergency fighting mode. And allows you to focus on the problem at hand and be like, you know what, we can skip going to the grocery for the next few weeks. So that's all I got. I talked long enough. I'll talk to y'all later. It's Tom, the Frugal Prepper.